Hi, this is going to be my commentary for my most recent PP on The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap, and it's 1 hour and 50 minutes long, so let's get right into it. So, The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap is the only GBA Zelda game released on 2004. I believe it's one of the lowest selling game too, but that depends. And right off the bat, I reset the game just before starting it because I'm going to do RNG manipulation right off the bat. You can either do the manip to get one blue rupee or to get four. I'm going to get only one because I use a route which has a stop on Mount Chronol a little bit later, and I well, it's more easy this way, and it's basically the same time with whether you do the one blue rupee or the four blue rupee manip, so pretty much the same. We're playing the game in the Japanese version because, well, it's faster text, and also because it's the most primitive version when it comes to glitches. I will point out the differences when they come by. So Zelda is our friend in this game. She just comes to visit us, and she wants us to go to the party in the city. So that's the beginning of the game, just waking us up. About text mashing, to it's pretty easy in the Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. You just need to hold B and to make it go fast, and then press any button to skip it to pass to the next text. So what I do is I hold B and I mash R on the D-pad, basically. The rupee management route is pretty optimized in this game. I would say we only need to buy three things, and we pick up basically only the rupees that we need. So that was the blue rupee I was talking about just earlier. Let's talk a little bit about the rolls mechanic. Uh, if you look closely on the top right corner, you can see some text on the R button. It's basically written roll. It means that you are allowed to roll, that you can press the button to roll. So what you might think is a good idea is to just smash the key, but actually it's better if you just press once, just when it becomes available, because if you press the button too early, it's not going to register your input, and you might miss the next input, and it's just slower. In theory, to have the perfect movement, you need to press R on from perfect. So here's Zelda just won the lottery, and she could have picked up a big gem or heart, and she decided to choose the small shield for us, which is very convenient because we're going to use it right away to defend her against a Deku Scrub, who just happened to block the path. So go, moving on, we're going to go to the castle because Zelda has to be there for a ceremony. They held a fighting tournament, and the victor re receives the prize and has the honor to see the legendary sword that was brought by the Minish. The Minish are really little beings, I guess. That was explained during the intro. Obviously, for the speed run, the story is not really important because we skip most of it after the second half. Yeah, before going into that, here is Vati is our main villain here. He's breaking the sword and releasing all the monsters in high roll, and then he's going to curse Zelda and turn her into stones. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I really like this speedrun because I think it's really balanced. Like, yeah, the first half of the game is pretty much playing legit, just going fast, but without any glitches, just good movement and good routing. And after that, uh, the game begins to be broken with a lot of glitches, a lot of skips. But you still visit every dungeon of the game except the one on Royal Valley, but it's more like a mini dungeon than a real dungeon. And it's not too long, it's around 2 hours, but it's not too short either, so I think it's pretty much balanced here. So let's go back to the game. Since Vati turned Zelda into stone and broke the legendary sword, we must go on a quest to gather the 4 elements and reforge the sword so that we can save Zelda. And it's Link that has to do everything because only child can see the Minish. So that's pretty convenient once again. And right now it's finally the beginning of the game. After almost 6 minutes we are free to go wherever we want. So as I said, first half of the game relies a lot of movement. We're just going to roll to our first dungeon, that is in the forest. Right now we have no hat, which is weird. I mean, Link always has a green hat, right? Well, we're going to get it pretty soon. This section is pretty hard, at least for me recently, because it's a lot of about optimizing all your rolls, and I was really bad at the beginning here. Luckily, I made up for it later, but it was still pretty bad. So yeah, we meet this creature that's being harassed by octos, and we're going to save it, obviously. He's basically telling us that he's also looking for certain variety and to gather elements, and so he wants to go with us. And since we are too fast for him, he's going to just be on our head, and that's Ezlo, our hat. Ezlo is basically going to be your companion for this game. Is like a little bit like Navi in Ocarina of Time, or, or or talking tutorial, and he has the ability to turn us into a Minish, which is pretty good story-wise, and it's a pretty interesting mechanic for the game, because then it's kind of like in Ocarina of Time you can either be a child or an adult. In a Link to the Past you can go to the Dark World, here you can go to the Minish World, kind of. Another thing I forgot to mention is that there's another mechanic about rolling. You're invincible on the first frames of it, so we're going to use that a lot to roll through enemies without taking damage or being boosted by them. It's really convenient. Now we just entered the Minish village, and here nobody can understand us, and we cannot understand anyone either because we don't speak the same tongue. So we find this elder here who speaks a little bit of Japanese, I guess, and he tells us, hey, it's easy, you just have to eat this nut and we'll be able to talk like us. So we found the nut. We don't even eat it, we just grab it. And now we can talk to Minish. So we're just going to go talk to the headmaster, I guess, and explain to him our quest. And he allows us to go to Deepwood Shrine, the temple of the forest. A very good time entering this dungeon is around the 10-minute mark. This time was pretty much garbage, but hey. So here, here pretty easy stuff. Just have to work on all the switches. You notice that sometimes Ezlo is going to talk to Link. It's basically a trigger that sets it. We want to not be rolling when passing through those triggers, because if we do, the game waits for the roll animation to stop before starting the Ezlo text, and it just wastes time. So we know where they are. Very few of them are exception, and you can roll into them. But that's another thing to take in consideration when running this game. I'm lost in my notes. Okay. So yeah, this is the first dungeon of the game. We're going to do 6. It's basically a tutorial dungeon with some pretty annoying parts. Like, well, I'll talk about them later. This roll was bad. This roll was also bad. Here I got a triple kill. We don't usually kill the slugs, but they were in the way, so I guess this happens. I'll grab this key and we're going back to the barrel. Here you can see that timing roll is really important for optimizing the movement, especially in the first 2 dungeons, I'd say, because they are entirely glitchless. So we just want to go fast by just playing good. Mushroom, you can, well, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You can pull them and swing with them, yes. This room is going to be a small fight for a key. So the enemies are pretty hard to manipulate, I think, because when you slash them, they are going to bounce, and you just have to run to them. It's pretty annoying. So we're going to enter our mini boss fight of this dungeon. Pretty much every dungeon has a mini boss fight that's going to give you an item. Pretty classic Zelda game. And this one is Mother Pillar, and it can be done in 2 cycles. Anything more than that is unacceptable and pretty much a reset. It's a pretty difficult fight to optimize because you don't really know how or where it's going to be, what path it's going to take, and if you start to hit his tail too soon, you're going to be pushed back and pretty much miss the 2 cycle. So we just picked up the gas jar, that is a sucking pot. It can get us through webs and also can propel us on the lily pad, which is one of the worst things in the game. I really hate that. It's really hard to to move the way you want to. So as you see, you have enemies that are here to annoy you, I guess. So here all my plan is ruined, and I have to improvise. And I even picked up a green rupee. It's not too bad because I need to pick up at least one for routing purposes, but it's still sad to have it on the first dungeon because most of the time you want to be really fast on the first dungeon because, well, easier to reset if you do it now than whenever into the run. You can also suck mushrooms with the gas jar, and as soon as the mushroom touches the jar, you're going to be propelled. We're going to see that in just a minute. And that's pretty much the end of this dungeon. We're going to soon grab the box key and fight the boss. Another thing I didn't mention about the lily pad, that if you do 4 gas jar hits the direction and then change, you are going to have a lot of acceleration, but it's just a detail. Here, I'm not grabbing a heart, I thought I was. Yeah, this boss fight is not too dangerous, but it's really hard to optimize because it's RNG based. The first 2 patterns are always going to be the same, assuming that you play well, but the third one is RNG. You can either do 5 jumps or chase you, and the number of times you need to hit him on each phase is between 5 to 9, and it's completely RNG too. So this is our boss fight. This is a green chew. It's just a chew, but since we are a Minish, it's huge and it's very dangerous. So to kill him is pretty easy. We actually only have 3 items, so you just suck his feet once it's smaller, and once it is small enough, he's going to lose balance, and then you just swing your sword to him. I think I've had really good RNG in this fight. Only 5 hits or well, at least no 9 hits. And if I recall correctly, I had the first pattern on the 3rd phase, where I chase you instead of jumping. Yep, so that's always nice to have. That's pretty much it. I would say that getting the earth element under 18 minutes is pretty good, and right now I'm happy if I'm under 1740. We are going to grab all the hearts on this run because Minish Cap is a pretty hard game, I think. So we need all the health we can get, especially since in any percent we are not going to collect any piece of heart, so might as well take everything we can. Now we're going to go to Mount Cronal to have the sword being reforged and to get the second element, because the headmaster gave us indication on our map to where all the 4 elements. And we're going to just visit this guy living outside the village because he can give us bombs, which are really useful for the run, obviously. We're actually going to grab all the items for the run, we cannot skip any. We can skip the flippers, and we will, and we can skip the bracelet, the strength bracelet, and we will not, but that's pretty much it. Here I took damage on purpose to go faster. I don't really care about the damage I'm going to take for now, because I'm going to have a health refill on Mount Cronal. Here we're going to open up this wind crest right now we don't know what it is, but it's actually uh, a fast travel checkpoint for later on. And here we enter the city and we're being harassed by those people. They want to introduce us the concept of fusion with kingstones. Kingstones are either green, blue or red, and they are different shapes, and if you fuse them you can unlock a chest, a path on the map. We are actually not going to do that because it's slow, so we just save and quit and we can go on. Doing that though makes it impossible to 100% the game, but we're playing any percent, so we don't really care. We're actually going to do very few fusion. We're going to do 4 to get a boomerang and 3 more. Well, I guess I'll talk about them later. Here we came to the dojo to learn the spin attack because it's necessary to get past this guard. It's actually necessary for other things such as cloning. This dojo actually teach you a lot of techniques, but it needs you to have something new every time, to have a new sword, to have the boost, to have the jump ability, but we are only going to learn the spin attack. Here we spend our money to buy the bottle to get access to Moncronal. I guess something I forgot to mention is bombs mechanic. If you just drop the bomb, it's going to explode 5 seconds later. If you pick it up and throw it, it's going to explode 30 frames earlier, which is half a second since the game runs at 60 FPS. And if you do a roll lift like I did just before, it's 1 second faster. So basically what is a roll lift? It's when you drop the bomb and roll 1 frame after that. Really precise. So here was our health refill with the fairies and actually 15 more rupees, and we're almost done with our rupee route. I actually bought the bottle and there are only 2 more things we need to buy. Here we see the first Minish portal that is not dead tree, it's only a rock, and Heslo tells us, hey, that's fun, you can actually do that. And yes, we can. Here we pick up the magic water for another vine. We're still in Moncronal. Here is a pretty neat way to pick up this rupee. It's actually faster than to climb this. One thing worth mentioning too is that we're pretty tight on bombs. We can only afford to waste 1 because we have 10 and we're going to use a lot up until the beginning of Cave of Flame. Something to mention about this section is that it's very deadly. There are a lot of enemies, a lot of movement to optimize. If you die, you go back to the very beginning of the mountain, so you really don't want that to happen. And we only have 4 hearts, so, which is why it's really advised to go and pick up the fairies, as well as the 15 rupees. You can skip those, but it's not safe. Those 2 enemies can be huge dicks, basically. But here it went well, I guess. I think I'm not on my PB. I'm not on PB. It's an interest. That's better. Here is a pretty great exploit. It's not a glitch, but every layer are on the same Z coordinate, so you can actually just use the jar to grab the mushroom. That's pretty cool. And now we're going to spend our money again to buy the grip ring. That will allow us to climb the mountain. And it's 40 rupees, and we have just the right amount. And now to complete the run we only need 60 more rupees. We're actually going to pick up 70, so that once we buy the last item we still have 10, well 11, since we pick up at least one green rupee, because we need at least 11 rupees for certain RNG manipulation to work. As this section is really scary too, because all the rocks that are falling down are RNG and they deal half a heart of damage. Every runner has died here at least once, I think. Here it's another pretty scary part, because you have the pirate and the tektites that are trying to kill you while you pull this mushroom all the way. But everything worked out okay. Here Ezlo says that the drops falling are as deadly as rocks, but rocks deal half a heart of damage and the drops only deal a quarter, so Ezlo is just a freaking liar. Rock pushing, it's probably one of the greatest things of the run. No, it's not. Just have to be careful about not getting stuck. It's nothing much, but it's just an annoying part of the run. Also the rain that moves with you is kind of giving me a headache every time I watch Minish Cap instead of playing it. It just feels weird that it's moving with you. More block pushing. Oh yeah, puzzle that's not that easy the first time, I'd say, when you play casually, but when you know, you know. Here we're going to roll through the roaches under the rocks. It's really fast, but it's also really easy to mess up. So here we have a pretty precise bomb timing. Not too hard, but just precise. And we pick up here another 20 rupee. And more rock pushing. But we are almost through the Mount Chronal, or Death Mountain, as some people might call it. Alright, we are going now to shrink into Minish and enter the mines, where we're going to meet the legendary swordsmiths that are going to repair our sword. And right now we are safe, we cannot die anymore, at least not before entering the second dungeon, that is Cave of Flames. And well, it's a good thing because we only have one heart, so I think I'm going to pick up some at the beginning of the dungeon. Right now they're going to repair the sword, and while they are doing that, we're just going to collect the second element. And Cave of Flame is full of fire. as Eslos points out. Okay, so this room, two turtles to kill. Pretty classic stuff. Here is the place where you usually pick up my green rupee if I didn't pick up any before that. And it's almost 10 minutes of just rolling and trying to optimize the dungeon. So here is a minecart. Capcom really loves minecarts, but at least this one is fast, not like in the Oracle games. There are always bombs on this. Jesus, there are always bombs on this spot, and it's pretty convenient because we're going to break it twice, so that we can go back to having 10 bombs. This room is really annoying because the 4 Elmother are pretty much RNG. You want to try to suck some of them because you can only hit them from behind. Since they are moving completely randomly, it's really hard to optimize. We are going to see the first lava platforms really soon, I think. So basically you walk on them and they start to break, and then you have to wait for them to come back. Funny thing about those platforms that when you roll into them, it cancels your roll, so you can basically just spam another one as soon as you enter them. So that's something. And here we pick up our last rupees. Now we're good to go. We can finish the run with that. We're not going to pick up any more rupees unless they are just unaware, but we're pretty much done. Tornadoes, I forgot to talk about that on the mountain. You can basically use as low as a hot balloon. That's pretty funny, I guess. Yeah, already since we entered the minecart was only to grab this small key, so that we can switch the lever and go on with the minecart. Here, as I said, another 5 bombs. Now we have 10. And switch, and now it's going to be time for the mini boss. The mini boss fight really soon. Not really a mini boss, but more like a fight with 8 silver shoes. We have a setup for that. The whole setup was about using bombs. Now we're just going to spin attack. It's not too hard, but it's pretty precise. But it's really easy to screw up. Like a lot of tricks in this game. Most of them are not too hard, but really easy to mess. Just like this small thing, we roll, we use a kind of patchy, and then triggers the slow text. So yeah, the kind of patchy is the item we get on this dungeon. It's basically a magic wand that's going to flip things around. Don't really know how that works. More minecart. I guess something I can talk about now is Minish movement. When you're on human size link, it's faster to roll one time up and one time right than to walk diagonally. But on Minish, it's actually faster to walk diagonally than to roll twice. So that's why we we try to walk on a diagonal pattern as much as we can to optimize the movement. Coming up is a pretty annoying room with, I don't really know how they are called, some armadillos things, I think. We need to put them into the holes, but their placement is pretty RNG from the start, and then you need to adapt and throw them in the right holes. Another thing is faster to push than it is to pull, so obviously we try to pull as soon as we can. Here we're going to pick up our very first skinstone. We need 4 greens to unlock the magical boomerang. I'm only going to pick up 1 in this route. Safer route makes you pick 2 in this dungeon. And here we are in the big central room. We are going to pick up the boss key pretty soon. It's actually on this chest here. Actually easy to lose a lot of time here if you are not careful with all the platform cycle. Here you can actually skip a cycle. It's not, well, once again, it's not too hard, but it's pretty easy to mess up, and it's awful if you do, because then all the cycles are messed up. Here we use a kind of Pechi to grab this tornado. And yeah, so if you do the safer route, you're going to actually not pick up the green and the blue rupee like I did, but to grab a big blue rupee. That's a 101, just south of this room. The kinstone, another green kinstone that is on southwest of this room. And if you do so, you can actually catch a fast cycle for the platforms just before the boss door. But since I'm using a different route that is a little bit faster, we don't have to worry about going fast here. But it does then force you to do a special trick in the third dungeon, that is Fortress of Winds. And it's pretty hard and really it's not easy to mess up, it's hard to do, so it's really not safe. And so we're going to enter our boss fight and fight Clearrock. This is not the worst boss fight of the game, but it's probably one of my least favorite. I really don't like this one because if you mess up, you can easily lose a lot of time. So here, right off the bat, we're gonna have a quick shot at this armor. And yeah, basically, if you get hit by his fireball, you lose a lot of time. It's actually faster to throw yourself into the lava and to get back than to wait for the flame to stop. So have that. I guess something I can mention that's actually kind of a meme in the Minish Cap community is that if you look closely to the wall, there are clear rocks that are carved on those. So yeah, pretty useless piece of information. As I said, kind of a meme. We're getting close to the last phase. I guess I can say right now that having a sub 40-minute fire element is a really good pace. Sub 39 is amazing. Actually, top runner can have around 38 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm pretty happy with my sub 39-30. And that's an easy gold. So now we got two elements, we're pretty much halfway through the game, right? Well, if you're looking at my splits, you know it's not true, but now that we got two elements, we're going to pick up the sword. Maybe it's too early, but actually it looks like 10 minutes is more than enough to reforge the sword. And now we are going to go to the city and actually to go to the sanctuary to infuse the sword with the power for two elements, the earth and the fire. Luckily, climbing down the mountain is way faster than to climb it up. Can still be annoyed by enemies though. And starting now, I want to be very careful with my health, because on the swamp I'm going to do RNG manipulation, and for it to work I want to have at least 1 health and a half. And it's really easy to lose a lot of health here. For this many to work I also want at least 11 rupees, which is why I picked, I always try to pick at least 1 green before that. So here we opened another wind crest. It's actually the last one we open, because you get one free to introduce you to the concept of fast travel, and we only need those two to complete the game. And surprisingly enough, the sanctuary is only open once every 100 years, and only child can see it, I think. So it's pretty convenient that it's open. Well, actually, it's because it is open that Vati could come and mess things up, so that convenient. Alright, so now we're upgrading our sword, and one other mechanic of the game that's only starting used now is cloning. When you use elements to upgrade your sword, you can have 2, 3 or 4 clones depending on how many elements you gather. Those clones can only use the sword, but they disappear as soon as they get hit by anything, or if they run into a wall or something. And they're pretty much used for puzzles, stepping on push button like that. So now we're going to go and try to get our third element, the wind element, Fortress of Winds. But before that, we're going to meet somebody. And that somebody is our boy Vad. He's actually ambushing us. And Eslo seems to know him. It's pretty weird. But we're going to chase him, and it's actually the hardest fight in the game. No, I'm kidding. It's really easy if you got the setup right. But well, once again, it's really easy to mess it up. And if you do, it's really annoying, because their spear can actually block your sword swings. So yeah, a little bit of an origin story. Vati was actually the apprentice of Eslo. Eslo crafted a magical hat that was supposed to grant human wishes, but Vati stole it and wished to become a powerful wizard. And since then, and he actually cursed Eslo to be, I don't really know what it is, kind of frog, kind of green thing. So yeah, now that we can clone, we can actually go down this path and go to the swamp. And coming up is another cutscene. It's the last one before the end of the game, so starting now, I guess the tedious part of the run is over after that, because, well, the first 40 minutes are really uh, tiresome, because you need to be careful about your movement, your road, and well, it's not that you don't need to be careful after that, but it's easier because we're going to grab the boots. About this cutscene, that is came to threaten the king, and then the king is asking all the soldiers for the force. It's supposed to be somewhere in Hyrule, and he really need it. So here we're going to read this sign. This sign basically says, "Swamp ahead, bring your running shoes." And it's actually necessary that we read this because it triggers the Pegasus boot quest. If you do not read it, this will not happen when you enter the shoemaker shop. And if you destroy the sign because you're trying to defend yourself against the moblin, you can enter the swamp and drown yourself to trigger it, because then Ezlo will say, "Hey, we need something to cross that." And this is the last Minish portal cutscene we're going to see, because it's the last kind. And conveniently enough, there are Minish here, and the Minish explain to you that they craft the shoe, and the shoemaker think is so good that he can craft shoes during his sleep. But the thing is that they need him to do the last step, and since you want your shoe now, well, you need to wake him up, and the Minish tell you that you can go and see a witch who will sell you a mushroom that will wake him up. That's why we need the last 60 rupees. And here on the way we go through the London Ranch, where Mario just locked himself out. Luckily we can turn into Minish and help him. But yeah, more just movement to get to the witch house. This is a little bit of a downtime in the run, so I guess I can talk right now about the Pegasus boots. They are basically running shoes, but they are not the fastest way of movement. What I mean by that is that we are not going to run instantly. You are going to kind of charge your speed first, and so if you do less than 3 walls, it's actually faster to roll than to run. And it's a rule of thumb that we use for the rest of the game. Always try to optimize movement. This music is great. It's just sad that we don't get to enjoy much of it. So now we have our mushroom. We just have to wake up the shoemaker. Alright. Once we get the shoe, we're going to go into the swamp. In the swamp, we're going to gather 3 gold kingstones, and we're going to fuse with some statues in order to unlock a path. Unlock the path to to the next dungeon. Here you can see I'm pretty good health-wise, but most of the time here I have like 2.5 or even less than two hearts. That's how deadly this section can be. Here we're going to grab our first Kingstone, but before that we're going to fight our very first Dark Knight. So those are basically big knights, and pretty hard to kill, but we have pretty neat trick with the boots. What they're doing here is pretty much RNGs. They are ever going to swing or to charge at you. If they charge, you can kill them instantly, but no such luck. Alright, here is going to be another lily-pad section. Luckily, it's the last one we do in the any percent. And right after that, we're going to fight to get the bow. We pick up water here that will come in handy really soon. Well, in a little bit less than 15 minutes. So those enemies are pretty awful because they did half a heart of damage. And I forgot to split, it's okay. And here we do the RNG manipulation to get 2 green Kingstones. We basically swing twice, grab this one, and we wait till now to grab the other one. It's pretty precise, but it's pretty easy since we have a lot of visual cues to help with the timing. And now we have to grab 2 more Kingstones, and now that we have the bow, we can actually get past both things. I think something I might mention right now is the bow concealing trick with the bow and the boots. If you throw an arrow, you are normally supposed to be waiting like a second or two up until you can move or shoot again. But if you actually shoot and as soon as the arrow leaves the bow you use the boots, you can actually fire again or move right away. It saves like half a second, but it's still a nice trick. More movement. I guess there's not much to say for the next 20 seconds. So yeah, now we are fusing with the statues. I guess all this downtime can be used as donation reading. Alright, last one. Now we are going to meet our first Amos. The Amos are those guys. I don't really know what they are, but what I can tell you is that you can actually go inside them as a Minish to turn them on or off. I don't think... Yes, we are going to turn one off, all the other one we are going to turn them on, because, well, for the speedrun we don't really care if we have to fight them or not, because we're going to skip most of them anyway. This section is still pretty hard, just like the mountain one, because you don't have any health refill up until entering the dungeon, and You have the Dark Knight fight, the blue enemy fight just before, the bow and such. So here I'm doing really good on health, because I was kinda lucky, I guess. But it can be really scary. So here is the Amos we're going to turn off, because if we do not, he actually goes and blocks the path. And we obviously don't want that. So here we need to kill every enemy to unlock the path. And some pretty neat thing we can do with the boots is slide and not bonk, but it's pretty precise. Here I got it, so I'm pretty happy about that. And it's Fortress of Winds. So this is a dungeon where we start to actually do some glitches. On this first room, you're kind of on a timer if you want to make it right and not get hit by the anti-fairy. Here we roll through. Here it's a pretty neat trick to clone fast. If you actually do it right, you can kill the Amos when you are doing the spin with the clone. So here, not perfect, but it's still pretty cool. You actually can trigger those two pressure plate even if you are not clone right, I guess, which is pretty cool. So here we just hit him once and we can pull this lever and the key falls down. Eslo is going to ask us if we saw the key, and obviously we saw the key. Thank you, Eslo. And I pick it up. Did I? No, I didn't pick up any health here because it was so high. So really soon we're going to have an example of the bow concerning animation I was talking about. If you look closely, I'm going to shoot an arrow and cancel, use the boots so that I can move right away and save a few seconds. So here is our second Amos, our second Dark Knight. If he charge, we can actually save a menu, but it's never happened, so I got kind of confused and I think I've wasted more time during these menus than anything else. And we're pretty much done with the dungeon already. We're going to pick up the mole meats. And it's time for some glitches, but before that, this route does the Amos clip. To do that, you actually need to do a RNG manipulation, which is pretty hard. It starts now, and doing it, you force the Amos to push you through a block that can only push the other way around. You also pick up this red kingstone that's going to come in handy really soon. And it's really hard to do this trick. And after that, I actually follow the manipulation to get a green kingstone. That is the last one I need. And now we have the portal item glitch. You basically just use the mole meats on the Minish portal to get higher, and then time with the bomb to get pushed out of bounds. It's a 4 frames trick. It's still a 60 FPS game, so pretty hard. And finally we get to fight Mazal, the boss fight. It's pretty RNG dependent too. I'll always use this one to attack first, but which one is random. And also, once you are inside him, you have to destroy some pillars, and they are never, their position is still, again 100% RNG, but we know that it's never going to be the same twice in a row. And that's pretty much it. Some runners actually use another strat to do this boss. They use bow and arrows to get the quick kills on the other hand. I don't really know how much it saves, but it must not be that much, I think. So yeah, there's not much left to say about this fight, I think. So I think I might say that right now, when I'm going to grab the wind element, but actually the ocarina, that is item that's supposed to be used for fast travel purposes. But we're actually going to use it for, well, for fast travels of course, but also to perform ocarina glitches. How they work is basically if you enter stairs or door, and at the same frame you are entering them, you use the ocarina, you can cancel the animation, and what it's going to do is that it allows you to run through enemies and NPCs, because also hitboxes are gone, yes. It kind of frees time, and it will not update your Z coordinate. And I forgot to split again, god damn it. And here we're going to talk to Tingle and actually to fuse with him, and see how we trigger the boomerang quest, the magical boomerang quest. We actually need to fuse with 4 Tingles. And right now we're going to do what we call OG Lady. We call it OG Lady, not OG Cafe, like some people might say. What we do basically is we're going to force NPC, a lady, to push us into a door and perform an ocarina glitch on it. Pretty precise, pretty hard, but practice makes perfect, I guess. And here you see I can just run through NPCs. But one thing worth mentioning is that when you are on OG state, if you, well, if you bonk, if you roll, or if you talk to any NPC, you are going to crash the game. And when you are on OG state, you actually can't open the menu to switch items, so you better have done your menuing before that. You can cancel the OG state either by entering what we call a white loading screen. That is a loading screen that is white, I guess, or by playing the ocarina again. So in this room we are going to pick up the strength bracelets as well as a fairy that we're going to use for a trick really soon. Some runners actually skip those bracelets and they are doing what we call the bracelet skip route, but by doing so, of course, they save around 2 minutes, but they also need to do what we call bracelet skip. 1 frame, 1 chance OG, cutscene OG. That means an ocarina glitch where they need to press the ocarina at the frame the last enemy of the rune dies, just before the cutscene that opens the door triggers. So that's really hard. And I think only the top 3 runners of the game go for it, and they have like a 50% success rate, if not less. But yeah, so now we're going to fuse with this guy. This kind of egg thing is actually a portal that is going to help us reach the not the next dungeon but the 5th one. And now we're going to basically go and fuse with all the tingles and grab the magical boomerangs that we're going to need for our next dungeon. What we used to do around 2 years ago was do the book quest to get the flippers, but we don't do that anymore. We actually do flipperless, which is really cool. I mean, I would have never run this game if it wasn't for the flippers, I think. Yeah, also I forgot to tell, but I obviously lost health on purpose on the power bracelet room, because we need to be half a heart or lower, perform a trick to enter the Temple of Droplets. That's coming out. That's coming really soon. So here you see, I sometimes roll and sometimes run, always keeping in mind that 2 rolls is faster than running. So here is the last tingle, and now we're going to go grab the boomerang. So let's talk about the trick to enter the Temple of Droplets right now, because it's coming up really soon. Basically, what we are going to do is perform an ocarina glitch on the House of the Lake, but this time there's no NPC to push us into the door. So what we are going to do is we are going to open it ourselves, but without entering it, which is why we need a ferry and to be less than half a heart, and have less than half heart, because what we are going to do is kill ourselves with a bomb on the same frame as we enter the door. Actually, I think it's MB rules that found a pretty neat setup for that. We're going to exit the house, use the boats and run at the same time, and when we bonk, we're going to take the bow, throw an arrow into the door, and then just walk into it. And it's perfect. It's really consistent setup to open the door at the right frame that the bomb explodes, so that it cancels the link entering said door. Oops, I again forgot to split. And then, since we have a ferry, we are not actually dead. We can perform the ocarina glitch on the door. I've made a safety save here because if you actually enter the door here, it's okay, but if you actually enter it once you use your ferry, you actually have to reset the game. But here it works fine. So we can run into the water since our Z coordinate is not being updated, and we just play the ocarina to get into, so to cancel the OG and get into the dungeon. So it's basically the water dungeon with ice physics and stuff, and well, everybody hates the water dungeon, right? So starting now, all the dungeons we're going to do are very broken and a lot is skipped, which is cool because the first time of the game was pretty much glitchless, as I said. earlier. So for starters, we're just going to grab a small key and the boss door key and perform some OGs to do it fast. Here I'm doing the optimized route because well, I opened the panel of the other room but I didn't go right into it. I'm going to grab the boss door key before that. I guess we can say the sound the ice block makes is wonderful. It's just so good. Shkluk. And well, it's pretty self-explanatory once again, but just need to push the blocks into the sun so that it melts. Another thing, running in the ice actually gets you rid of the ice physics, so that's really great. Because ice physics is, well, is always messy to move with it. Okay, we're going to perform another Ocarina glitch and to do what we call the boss door clipping, and here and that's actually the only reason why we need the magical boomerang. We might skip it otherwise, but it's just too useful. We use the boomerang and we still hold it when entering the door so that it doesn't load. And then we use the kind of patchy to check on our position. It's kind of pixel perfect. And then we can go there. Be careful about your position. Here I just want to say this is a really clean fight. And yeah, and then we go through a white loading screen so that we cancel the OG state. And we're pretty much halfway through the dungeon already. About the fight just before, funny thing that in glitchless they actually do the fight without the boomerang, and it's terrifying. It's really hard. So now we're just going to go and fight the mini-boss of the dungeon. It's actually a blue chow. It's actually, well, it's literally the same boss as the first dungeon, except that this time it has lightning, and during the lightning phase it's pretty much invincible. And this time it's not going to get us an element, but to get us a lantern. The lantern is necessary to kill the boss of this dungeon, obviously, but also to perform some boss door clipping that we are going to use on the next dungeon actually. So yeah, this fight is can be pretty messy, really fast, but it's pretty consistent too, if you know at what time it's going to stop being invincible, I guess. So right after that we're going to save and quit and perform one last OG to go where we need to and to finish this dungeon. And then we're going to fight Octo, which is the boss of this dungeon. It's just a regular Octo that you can kill with only one sword swing, but since you are a Minish, well, it's really much more harder than that. And let's talk about this boss. The first two phases are set. It's always going to be the same thing he does, but on the third phase, it's completely RNG, and he can either charge, throw rocks at you that you can deflect, or ink. When he inks, he actually is going to suck you in, throw you, deal a full hurt of damage, and then charge 5 times with the screen going black because of the ink. And it's basically a 30-second loss. You cannot you can't really manipulate the boss because uh, the RNG changes every pixel, every second, every pixel you stand. Well, the RNG changes depending on the pixel you stand in, on the pixel the boss stand in, and the angle. And well, it's just impossible. And getting a 0 ink is pretty hard, but uh, it's not hard, it's pretty rare, but most of the time people get 1 ink, so it's just a 30-second loss. So here is Octo. Here I picked up this heart for safety because uh, what happened to me in the past is that uh, you can actually get 3 inks. Well, you can't get 3 inks because when he pushes you out, he's going to throw a rock at you. But you can die before killing him because it's a full heart of damage every time he sucks you in. So if you have less than 3 hearts, it can be pretty dangerous. So that was the first phase. On the second phase, it's going to suck, throw a rock, suck, and throw 2 rocks. So as long as we don't forget that, it's pretty easy. We usually lure him inside the corner because he seems to be faster when he's there. And here we're going for the third phase. I think I've had 1 ink. 1 ink, one charge in this PB, I think. Yeah, this is a charge. And now this is an ink. And that's the boss. I think, well, at least for my standard, getting a sub 120 Earth Element is a really good time. But hey. So we pick up the heart, obviously. And right now, there's someone that's going to talk to us. It's actually the king's ghost, so I guess he's dead now. he asks us to go to the Royal Valley where there's some things that will help us on our quest. But we got the ocarina, so we're not going to do that. We don't need to do that. What we need to do is to fuse the sword with the new element. With our route, we can actually enter the next dungeon right now, but we're going to be stuck on the very first room if we forget to use the water element on the sword, because we need to have 3 clones. Oopsie. Forgot to split again. It's okay. So now we're going to go to, it's actually not Fortress of Winds, but it's Palace of Winds. The last dungeon we have to do. And that's actually why we fused with the guy inside the city earlier, because we're going to take the teleport thing and perform some ocarina glitches to clip inside the dungeon. The funny thing is that we can do this only on the Japanese and the US version, because only those versions allows us to use the ocarina when we exit the dungeon. On the EU version, we cannot do that, and then we get stuck because we cannot get past this girl when we climb down the stairs. So that's bad. Okay, don't forget to split on this one. Alright, this is Palace of Winds. It's really movement heavy. This first room is a nightmare with all the pirates. It's really easy to lose a lot of time to bad enemy RNG or bad movement here. I'd say pretty much everything depends on the quality of your movement, because there's no glitches at all in this dungeon except the boss door clip, but it's, well, I say there's no glitches at all because there's nothing you can really mess. The boss door clipping is really easy. Well, it's actually a given. Right now we are already going to have our mini boss fight. It's actually a whisper fight. It's really hard to do right, but we have a setup. We use either bombs and the lantern, or bombs and the sword. Here that was alright, despite the bad bomb throw. And now we finally have the last item, the rock capes, that we can use to jump. This jump is really tricky. I don't fail it usually, but when I do, it's just awful. I guess I can't talk about the rock caves mechanics, you can either hold the item button to jump, but the jump is in two phases, and you can actually press it once, wait, and press it a second time later, so that you can jump further and then reach places you are not so supposed to. Quite a lot of moving platforms in this dungeon, a lot of idle time. So coming up is the only place in the run for which we need the power bracelet for. And it's right after that, the pot pushing. Funny thing about the pot pushing is that you can push them from afar if you are close to a wall, but it can backfire really easily. Like you can push a pot you didn't want to and actually block your path and actually mess up this puzzle. So that's why I'm going to be very careful here, because I actually did a lot recently on practice, and I didn't want that to happen at such a good pace, obviously. So now it's more movement, just trying to be consistent. So now not a lot is going to happen until the buzzer clipping, basically. Before that, I shall, well, talk again a little bit about the cutscene OG. Just before the boss door, we can try to do cutscene OG too, because you have two enemies, and as soon as they die, small key drops. And what we do is we kill one, and when we are killing the other one, we try to play the ocarina on the last frame is dying, and if we do it right, it's going to freeze the room. We just have to exit it and enter it again. We can save around 40 seconds, but spoiler alert, it's not going to happen. Here. So what we do then, we do the intended route. Here this skeleton is kind of a pain in the butt, because he really likes to jump on you, to kill your clones, to do all that sort of stuff. I got pretty lucky here. Here we use bombs to do this fight quickly. You have to blue with ropes. It actually was a pretty good fight. And basically, if we got the cutscene OG, we could just run through the skies and save more than 30 seconds. And here we get the boss key. So how does the boss door clipping works with the lantern is pretty easy. You just light up the lantern and open the door less than 30 frames later, so you have half a second. It's really easy. And now we're going to enter the boss fight and fight the Georgs. It's really hard to get a perfect fight, I think. Basically, what you want is to clone only once per phase on the big red one, and to kill all the blue ones with only one spin attack. So it's pretty much a lot about timing for the blues, but it's a lot about dodging the blues attack when you are on the red one. Because if you get hit even only once, your clone disappear and you have to clone again, and well, it's really annoying, obviously. Here I got the quick kill on this one. This phase is the worst because you actually have two blue that are, and I don't know if there are two, but yeah, there must have, because you have two balls at the same time, and the blue, this one is actually flying over you. So yeah, this phase was really bad. But we are almost done once we're here. And here you want to dodge the green flying things when you are charging your sword, obviously. And we're done. I'd say anything that's sub 133, 134 is a really good time on the wind element. So here I was really happy with this time. And now all that's left for us to do is to fuse the sword and save Zelda, right? I mean, that's what we gathered all the elements just to save Zelda. So now it's going to be boring again. We just have to go through the maze once again and fuse the swords. But yeah, as you probably noticed, there are really little downtime during this run. I've been talking quite a lot about a lot of small tricks and optimization and what we do, because we actually do a lot. Even those section where we just go from point 1 from point A to point B, you actually need to be very careful with enemies, with the pathing you're taking. So yeah, it's a really how to say it. It's really damn, I will find it later. I forgot to split. Never mind. So having the final sword actually opens a secret path, and we're going to learn something new from a cutscene really soon. If you read Japanese, we're going to know exactly what it is. But yeah, basically it's an introduction cutscene, but with a final panel. And in this final panel, we learn that the force that he was looking for was inside Zelda all along. And yeah, what I was trying to say that this run is really execution heavy. You want to have good execution and be really consistent with everything you do, because it's really easy to lose 10 to 15 seconds here and there, and then it's really hard to gain them back unless you really mess up some glitches and then you get them first try. But basically the only very heavy RNG time saves are going to be the water element boss fight, the OG on Palace of Winds, and so on. All the rest is really up to you and your execution. So, Varti was spying on us, and now he has the knowledge he needed to get the force. And we need to save Zelda, so we're going to go after him. But as soon as we exit here, we're going to find out that he transformed the castle, and it's the final dungeon, Dark Arrow Castle. So there are a lot of tricks here, and it starts right now with cutscene walking. If we trigger the slow text at the same time that we unfreeze somebody, we can actually skip the dialogue, and same here and same here. So basically we do all that to save around 7 seconds. It's not too hard, but really easy to miss once again. Right now we're going to do an ocarina glitch. We're going to do 4 in this dungeon, and then it's the end. No more ocarina glitches. If I remember correctly, I've got pretty lucky on my ocarina glitches on this dungeon. Well, let's say they all came out really good. And well, the main point of this dungeon is to gather 4 small keys so that we can get the boss key, and then it's basically boss rush until the end of the game. And I forgot to split here. Let's do that. I guess I'll just have to delete the split. Here we exit the dungeon to do 7 quick and 7 quit later. Here I'm going to do what we call a cloneless. Here you have 4 cannons that shoot balls. You want to hit them all at the same time. If you're using a bomb, you can just do it without cloning, which saves time, and actually this way you don't trigger nasal text, so it saves even more time. Really easy puzzle. Here we start charging our sword right away, and I got really unlucky with those moblins. It's okay. I was waiting outside the screen because we want this cycle. And here's our first key. And now we're just going to do OGs, and it's really soon going to be the last section of this dungeon. Here we OG, we go up to the stairs right after the cannon. We must be careful to dodge the Eslo text that is still active. Then we're going to pick up the second key. Here I just paused because I wanted to make sure I had at least 1 bomb, because I can actually pick some up here. We 7 quit. Another OG. Damn, it looks so smooth. Really glad everything went this way. Alright. Here we're going to do the last OG of the game really soon. We pick up the 3rd key. And then on OG, remember you cannot pause or roll or do anything, so just have to be really precise and jump really good. Then for the next door jump we have a setup with a sword, which is not that easy but not that hard once you know what you are doing, but basically. And this is where we needed the bomb for. And that's unfortunate. But yeah. Here I always pick up some fairies to be full health, so that I can go to the end of the game without being too worried. This Dark Knight kill is so cool. You basically just get him stuck on the door. It is really easy to mess up again. Now we're almost up for the what I like to call the very end of the game, because we're just going to kill the two Dark Nuts, and then we have 2 more rooms to go through, and then we're going to do the last LNG manipulation of the game. This manip is used to manipulate the behavior of the 3 Dark Nuts you have to fight just before Vati. So it's a pretty long manip, but fighting 1 Dark Nut is already hard, but fighting... yeah, this room was a nightmare. It's really easy to die on this room, to get hit and hit over and over again, and I was really scared that was what was going to happen. Fortunately it didn't. So yeah, fighting Dark Nuts is pretty hard, but what you need to do just before the Vati fight is actually to fight 3 of them, and I think you have up to 3 minutes to kill them. So the manip actually helps a lot, because you can force 1, 2 or 3 of them to charge, and you can kill them instantly. And it's actually exactly what you want to do this room fast. Some runner actually do the manip up until Vati 1 and sometimes Vati 2, but I wouldn't call that really reliable for now. So we're still doing the manip. The only hard part is on this room. For the manip I do, I need to kill all the kittens except 1, with only 5 slashes. So that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And we're good. And here is a room with all the Dark Nuts. If I remember correctly, I had the perfect pattern. Well, let's say the manip worked perfectly. Yep. And we're going to fight Vati now. Vati 1 is the worst for me. Really, what you need to do is to kill his eyes and then eat its body, but it can pretty much randomly teleport, and after 3 cycles on its second phase, his eyes are going to have some sort of armor that you need to take out with a gut jar before killing them, and it can still teleport, obviously. Another really annoying thing is that he uses a lot of fire attacks, and just as Glee Rock on the second dungeon, any fire attack that hits you are going to send you running, and it's really long, you lose time, and it's just slow. So here I use the gas jar right away to suck the protection of the eye. And the teleportation begins. You can actually kill Vati 1 on 5 cycles, but I think I did 6. Yep. Now it's time for Vati 2. Vati 2, you need to open its eyes with arrows, and here I'm going to use a lot of bow cancelling animation because I need to shoot a lot of arrows. And then once you found the 4 red ones, you need to clone and hit all the 4 eyes at once. And then you can hit its body. We can actually skip a cycle on this boss if we do a spin attack on the second and third cycle. But this boss is really bad because you don't really know what he's going to do, if he's going to move or to make a rock force or to send those purple spiky things. And it's a perfect example of if everything goes well, it goes well. If everything goes well, you're going to hit him fast enough and he doesn't have time to move, to cover the floor with the spiky stuff. But if you start to mess things up, you're going to have a really bad time. Luckily it wasn't so bad here. And now it's over. We kill Vati, which is going to save Zelda, and we're going to be done. We save the princess. Actually, the castle is falling apart, so we need to escape, and the only safe place we know is the sanctuary, since the exit is blocked. So we're going to go there. But before that, since I was in a very good pace and I didn't want to ruin it, I pick up some fairies here. Because obviously I lied, it's not the end of the game, it's time for Party 3. This time it's the last. Party 3, you need to first kill, well, let's say destroy its 2 arms. To do that you just need to wait for them to go under you, use a kind of patchy to turn them inside down, I guess, and then turn into a Minish and destroy its core from inside. The right one is basically the only one that's looking at you. Pretty hard to do in an optimal way, I think, because you don't really know where it's going to be, and the others one are invincible, so you can hit them but it doesn't do anything. And then once its 2 eyes are dead, you can actually start to damage Vati. So there's a few things you can do. You can either send electrical balls or send some blue balls. You want to deflect its blue bolt attack to him and then hit him. And there's a way to force him to do only its deflect, deflecting attack is by standing right in front of him. So that's what I do. And in fact, you actually need only to hit him twice on every cycle here, so that you can clone faster and be in front of him for the next phase. You can do a swag kill with a bomb on the last phase. I didn't do that because I was under a lot of pressure, but be sure that it's going on the marathon if it's selected. And we're done. And so this was The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. So to sum up, very balanced run, I think. A lot of movement, lot of tricks, quite some glitches. The game is pretty broken, but not so broken that it doesn't look like the original game anymore. And I'm submitting a 2-hour run to be safe. I don't think I haven't got anything lower than a 154 in a few months, but just to be safe, let's say we go for a 2-hour run, and I might add some incentives. Maybe, I don't really know yet. I will think about it. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you will select my game. See you around, I hope.